This is a clouds weather alert. Meteorologist Casey Cloud breaking in right now here on this Wednesday evening, tracking a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Bradford County. It's just the northern periphery, really. As things with that kind of moving out of Bradford. We have another area that we're going to be watching to see if it gets severe warning in northern Alachua towards southern Bradford. So quite a bit going on right now, seeing things come together here in parts of north central Florida toward northeast Florida. Once again, I know we had some action earlier on with the warning toward Flagler and the ward areas there on Hawthorne. And then, of course, yesterday that was really active. And now here we go again with this warning for parts of Bradford County. So the information from the Weather Service there, the National Weather Service in Jacksonville, has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for northeastern Bradford, southeastern Baker, northeastern Union, and northwestern Clay until 8 p.m. At 7:28, a severe thunderstorm is located 7 miles northeast of Rayford. It's nearly stationary. But again, I think there's some northerly movement with this overall based on our algorithms. We have Glen St. Mary, areas around Lodi, and then Ellerbe involved in this. So a severe thunderstorm warning here to 8 p.m. as we're looking at the overall scenario here. Let me go ahead and zoom on in. You see the worst is north of Lodi. But let's kind of get on in here on the Doppler scan over the past 15 minutes, really coming together here in northern Bradford County. So we had an advisory, and then quickly after saw a warning get issued. This is over a pretty rural area, to be completely honest with you, here in far northern Bradford County. I mean, I'll say here our overall topography pattern here is mostly trees. There are maybe a few homes here and there, but it's mostly trees here in northern Bradford County. But again, a severe thunderstorm warning being issued here until 8 p.m. As we're looking at the overall information. A severe thunderstorm warning in play for northern Bradford County here. It does include Lodi, but the worst is north of town here, Roy. So that's some good news as we're watching, things come together meteorologically here toward that spot. You see, again, just kind of looping things around. I mean, even 15 minutes ago, we didn't even have an advisory here on play, and now all the way up to a severe thunderstorm warning, a yellow box, maybe that burst of wind potential here. So again, just monitoring things very carefully here in the weather picture. You can see as we get on in here, let me put some of these road profile informational details in this way. You see Logging Road. You see areas there, Crooked Road, Black Bottom Road there, around the Highland area. You see Main Street there. I mean, these are very rural areas overall. But as we go ahead and look, I mean, you see some of this wind in here, but it's, again, very, very rural out here. We have toward areas toward 301 where, have cars coming through. It's not, showing up too bad with the winds. Excuse me, the wind mode here right now as we're trying to keep you up to date. So, again, just trying to keep you informed here. Just trying to keep you up to date here on the overall latest information. So, again, looking at our scans, we have stuff that's maybe in some ways a little more impressive, more lightning down toward Waldo, but maybe not that burst of wind potential down that way. So again, just trying to keep you informed here the best I can. We're just going to look through some of our other scans because there's some stronger storms further back, even in the South Georgia, Thomas County there, southern parts of Brooks County, seeing some wind and some lightning, but the only yellow box, the only severe thunderstorm warning we have is off toward the east here as we get toward parts of northern Bradford County. So again, we have some wind potential here as we look, again, watching things evolve. Again, the algorithm's taking off toward the north and east. I mean, we're watching that maybe progressing here. The more I look at it, the more I just don't, really see a lot of movement here. So it's just kind of building over that one spot pretty much. So again, we're just going to have to continue to watch the overall scenario here moment by moment. I mean, we're going to be at sunset here pretty soon. But that should help here stabilize things a bit. But it's still been, warm out there. We're still here east of Stark at 88 degrees. I mean, it's a situation here too, though. I mean, this is not impacting most of the county here. Now, this will impact more of us potentially. Let's kind of watch. That motion here is, a little bit more obvious with some of that up toward the north. But this here, just kind of sitting over that one spot here and now becoming severe as we look into toward parts of northern Bradford County. So again, I mean, you didn't even have anything there we were off, right after 7, I think it was, and didn't have anything here, and then just, at 7:20, it starts to form, and we have a warning here before 7:30. So that's just how things go sometimes here with the overall weather setup. As things do come together here meteorologically, things just get going. So here we are as we go ahead. Let me see if there's any questions, comments. Going to go over to the other computer source. We have Thomas and Top Cat Watson. Just appreciate everybody tuning in here on this Wednesday evening. Just to try and update the very best I can. Again, we have a severe thunderstorm warning. It's a very, very rural area here overall. We have a little bit of Union, though. And honestly, Union, east of Ellerby, there's a little more population in here. But I don't think the winds are as bad there, even though we have some heavy rainfall in that area around Northeast 52nd Street. I know yesterday was a much different story, and now I'm not saying this can't keep getting stronger up here, but yesterday was a much different story. We had all this damage in Ward Lake Butler there. Seems to have been, straight line wind damage is what we're thinking there. The school being closed there today. Tomorrow, Lake Butler Elementary, they will be back open, but Lake Butler, Union County, the elementary school there, it will be, open. But as we look toward the high school there, they're going to be closed again. They're going to be closed again. So that's kind of the storyline there. As we're looking at the overall situation toward Union County. So, we're just going to keep watching all the different trends. Got some wind enhancement here around the St. Johns River now around Switzerland. You can see here as we get down towards northern Alachua County, some wind enhancement. South of Graham, a new advisory just being issued that gets us into Ward Brooker there. And the, area there around Plano as well. So, again, just trying to update the very best I can. Seeing some of this wind enhancement of the St. Johns River. We'll have to watch for maybe something around the Switzerland area. It'd be a burst of wind energy. But again, we had this severe thunderstorm warning issued over here. You have to 8 p.m. Also includes some of Baker there. Let me see the information here from the Weather Service. Bradford, Baker, Union, Clay, under 8 p.m. A severe thunderstorm located there 7 miles northeast of Rayford is nearly stationary. Glen St. Mary, Lodi, Ellerby. So again, a severe thunderstorm warning in play here until 8 o'clock. So. Again, looking here at the scans, I mean, there is, some of that in a more broad sense here, west of Highland. Again, okay, and we got another warning back out here now as we look off toward the west. So, seeing things come together here again. It's 8:15, Brooks and Thomas and a lot of different zones. Let me go ahead and read that warning off from the Weather Service there in Tallahassee. So, the National Weather Service in Tallahassee has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for northeastern Jefferson, northern Madison, eastern Grady, southwestern Lowndes, Thomas, and Brooks counties into 8:15 at 7:43. Severe thunderstorms are located along a line extending from near Thomasville to near Madison, moving northwest at 5 miles an hour. Monticello, Madison, Cairo, Quitman, Thomasville, Boston, Ocklawaha, Coolidge, Greenville, Barwick, Lee, Dills, Thomasville Municipal Airport, Gruberville, Dillon, Everett, and Hamburg involved. So that's to 8:15, a severe thunderstorm warning over there. So again, watching this on the Doppler scans right now. And remember that radar is down, so we got to use this radar over here. Seeing some winds of maybe 49 miles an hour. We'll get down in here around Collins Road and toward South Georgia and toward parts of Brooks County. So a severe thunderstorm warning. I see a flood alert now. A flood advisory to 9:45 as we get out that way. So let's go ahead here. Let me go ahead and see what we can kind of come up with. Seeing some of the storm total rainfall here, maybe upward about 2.5, 3 inches around the Madison area. Seeing this wind enhancement here, though, in northern Bradford, 42 miles an hour. Again, this is very, very, very rural out here, where the worst of this would seem to be. I mean, you see a bunch of trees out in here, just, I mean, mostly, uninhabited out in that area. But we have this severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Just got to watch the overall upscale growth process there. As we look toward the south here, you see significant advisory Waldo toward Gainesville there. See off toward the west. We have some wind enhancement here as we get toward some of our area. We just have to be very mindful of that. Brooks County at 8:15. Just continuing to keep you informed. Again, going between some of our different tools here in the toolkit. I just put today's storm reports on here the last 4 hours. We do have some issues the south of the area, around Wildwood. No verified structural damage, but trees and power lines were down. So that's towards Sumter County. As we go ahead and keep looking here. You see some of this wind here. 44 miles an hour. And as we get back out toward the west here, 45 miles an hour, but there's a potential for up to 58, which is the severe criteria. Gadsden, there's not a huge population, with the power outage information tracked there, but that does show a high number in the dark over that way. As we try to keep you up to date, it's not showing it over here, but it is showing 1,000 customers in the dark in Thomas County. As you look here, northern Bradford County, though, again, we have some wind enhancement in here. Pretty rural out here, west of Logan Road, excuse me. West of Crooked Road there, east of State Road 121. Again, our severe thunderstorm warning in effect is very rural. Does not include Stark, does not include, a lot of the other areas here either, but all that heat building up and have some of that potential. Technically does include Laurie, but really the worst is off toward the north and west. East of Ellerby. Again, looking here north South Georgia. Seeing some of that wind enhancement. We're just looking at everything here the best we can. Watching all these scans. A lot of lightning here. Southeast, Thomas County there. Southwestern parts of Brooks County. You see around Whitney Camp Road, Mitchell Road, and then into Thompson Road, Ramsey Road, Livingston Road. Just watching all our different storms here. You see our severe thunderstorm warning in play. You see some different indicators here. Potential times of arrival for some of the worst of this, maybe, but you're already getting some of that around Madison. in Madison County. Again, just trying to give you guys the very latest here. Have a viewer Sherry watching here, watching our local coverage from further up in the country here. Just appreciate you tuning on in. Appreciate just everybody watching our North Florida, South Florida severe weather coverage. Again, sitting back down at the other computer source here right now, though. Looking through some information. Okay, the Weather Service says they're going to drop this warning here as we get toward 8 o'clock or so. As we look off toward the east. The storm, which prompted the warning, has weakened below severe limit to no longer pose an immediate threat to life or property. Therefore, the warning will be allowed to expire. So that's good there. Now we got to watch this line. A lot of lightning in Alachua County, all around Gainesville, and some wind, in there on Waldo as well with the lightning. Just all the way up and down that. It could be some wind, but not quite enough for severe, but some pretty gusty winds. But this is still severe warned out here. So watching the overall setup, the overall weather picture. Let's just kind of watch how things kind of gather here in terms of, the organization. See southern parts there of Brooks County around the Equipment area, some impacts. Especially South Equipment, those where it's worse. .48 miles an hour. That's what we're seeing, some of the higher pixels there with the velocity mode. Again, just watching the scans here. Definitely in Thomasville, definitely not a fun evening there as we're looking toward Clay Street there and Old Albany Road. Definitely having that weather impact there. Southeastern Thomas County, see around Whitney Camp Road, Mitchell Road there. Seeing some of that weather impact there as well. So see Madison, Monticello Equipment, Thomasville, Cairo, Granite Cairo is kind of on the edge of it more so, and even Monticello to some degree, but Thomasville Equipment, Madison in this warning with some impacts near over those communities. So we're going to have more here at 8 o'clock. Keep it tuned to Cloud Weather. The warning keeps going to 8:15. I just appreciate everybody tuning in, everybody trusting me. Going to take questions, comments again real quick. Going to take a break here in the coverage. Just appreciate everybody tuning in to the special severe weather coverage on this Wednesday evening. The warning for Bradford's going away here at 8, which is great, but we still have this warning out a little west. So I'll continue coverage here in about 5 minutes. This is a clouds weather alert. Meteorologist Casey Cloud breaking back in here on this Wednesday evening. Appreciate your viewership. We're watching a severe thunderstorm morning situation here until about 8:15 p.m. as we're looking toward areas of the viewing circle. Let me go ahead and read off the latest from the Weather Service there in Tallahassee as I'm monitoring the overall progression here. We'll go ahead and kind of read this on off. The Weather Service, trying to keep us informed the best they can here, and the statement here when they issued this included, a severe thunderstorm warning hazard for Monticello, Madison, Quitman, Thomasville, Boston, Ocklawaha, Coolidge, Greenville, Barwick, Lee, Dills, Thomasville Airport, Gruberville, Capel, Dillon, Everett, and Hamburg. So again, severe thunderstorm warning until 8:15 as we're looking toward that area. So again, hopefully this doesn't get extended, but we're going to keep watching the overall trend lines here as things do evolve. So let me go ahead and zoom back out a little bit. We have some stronger storms here toward north central northeast Florida, not quite to maybe severe limits. So we had that one warning that just went away toward parts of Bradford, but we're watching down near Waldo here. We have to monitor that carefully as we look at the overall trends here. You can kind of see the overall trend lines, that wind picking up maybe a little bit around there. We'll have to see if that required a warning. I know what we were watching up here is in a very rural area here in northern Bradford with that warning, that going away. So that's some great news. But as we go ahead and look back out toward the west here, again, this is kind of all, muddied here in that there are some concerns. It's not an overwhelming signature on the Doppler scan, but we're just going to have to keep you guys up to date here very carefully on the overall situation, at least until the warning, so until maybe they send out an expiration statement or something like that. So again, just watching the overall trend lines here. Let's check power outage information. You see, I know Gadsden, there's not a whole bunch of customers tracked over there, but it's a high percentage out. See, 11% out in Thomasville, counties. In Thomas County, Thomasville's county. 11% in the dark, that's quite a bit. So that's something to be very mindful of. You see 1,500 in the dark, so that's quite a bit there as we're looking. I know Tallahassee Raiders down, I'll be trying to use that one here more, but again, just trying to give you guys the very latest here. 30, 40 mile-an-hour winds coming up, so hopefully this is just under severe. Let me see if we have some wind reports there from the Thomasville Airport. I'm going to check my other computer. Just bear with me as we're monitoring the overall trends here. I'm going to check the other computer source. See if we have, okay, Thomasville's Airport, I got to 26 knots there recently. So that's not overwhelming, but, definitely the power outages do tell a story. We also have a pretty strong area there in that banding, Alachua County, the banding there. Southern Alachua there, seeing some enhancement on Doppler. But again, just watching all the trends, trying to keep you informed. Let me go ahead and sit back down here, just what I'm doing now at the computer source. Again, northern Alachua. You see some areas here of wind here and there as we're looking towards some of our zones, but not enough for a warning out that way. But we have the warning over here. You see some of these different numbers. We're just going to keep, seeing the trend lines with this to see how the Weather Service is going to handle things out here over the next little bit. Again, the warning only goes to 8:15, so hopefully it does not get extended. We're getting toward that sunset benchmark here, so that's some good news. Again, just gonna watch the trend lines. Just, whenever thunder ordering to go indoors, lightning can strike miles away from a parent storm. So very important to keep in mind with that. I know if we can get this to turn into, a storm warning that's getting an expiration statement, and we don't have any other warnings here as we look ahead, then I'll just leave the radar running for a little bit. you know, as we watch at least a strong storm action continue. Hopefully that's where we go with this, so I can, you know, kind of catch my breath here a little bit, because it's been, you know, the last couple of days, quite a bit of talking here. Even on Monday, a good bit as well. But, you know, the last couple of days here, we were on for hours yesterday, quite a bit today here too, as we're just trying to give you the very latest information to protect you, your friends, your family, inform you, your friends, and your family. So, again, watching the overall Doppler here, the overall Doppler presentation. A lot of lightning there in Alachua County. As we get there toward the Wakahuta area, Clint's area, Kirkwood, you know, not too far, you know, to the southeast of Arredondo as well. So we're just definitely watching all these radar trends here in the Weather Center. Looking at some of the information, you see some spots still very, you know, on that toasty side. 92 toward Waycross there in Ware County. Again, seeing some lightning here, you know, as we're good in the Ward area there on Monteoka and Louise, moving up toward Graham maybe. Again, this is a slow mover, but kind of, you know, some heavier rain moving in toward that Graham area. It's across that area there now. We're watching the overall movement of things. We had that one expire in northern Bradford County. Hopefully we'll get this to expire here as well. Let me see if we have any updates. Let's just check in here the very latest. 8:07 p.m. on this Wednesday. See some of these stronger winds in here around Dewey Road. Pretty strong. Hopefully it's not actually, you know, producing damage in there, but it's not out of the question. That's 45. That's a little bit stronger there. You know, some pretty heavy rain and 45-mile-an-hour winds. This, you know, this could get extended. It's right on the edge there of if it would or not. But there are some pockets in here that are a little concerning with that. But we see an advisory here pop up, and that makes me think that that's, you know, kind of the tell probably that they're not going to. It to be some great news, obviously. So let's see here if we have any. Okay, here we go. The statement just came out. 8:08 p.m. The severe thunderstorm warning for northeastern Jefferson and northern Madison, as well as eastern Grady and southwestern Lowndes, even into Thomas and Brooks, will expire at 8:15. The storms that prompted the warning have weakened below severe limits and no longer pose an immediate threat to life or property. Therefore, the warning will be allowed to expire. However, gusty winds, heavy rain still possible with the thunderstorms. So we'll watch the trends. I'm going to leave the stream running a little longer here. You know, we have this wind in toward this area. So the pretty gusty winds as we're looking at things there in toward southern part of Brooks County there. So we'll see if, you know, somehow things fire up a little bit more. Maybe we get another warning. If we do, we'll come back on. Have some strong storms out toward the east here as well. They're not warned right now, but if they get warned, you know, hopefully they'll start to weaken off as we lose that daytime heating. But if somehow we get a little bit of upscale growth there and we see another warning pop up somewhere, we'll be back on. We'll leave the radar running a little longer so you guys can see the progression of things with the overall picture. So we'll leave this running here for everybody at home. I'm going to take questions and comments one more time before I wrap it, but it's going to leave this running here as we look at the Doppler, you know, scenario here. And let's change this. I'm going to change our loop to 1 hour, and we're going to change this to 5-minute increments. We'll let it dwell for 2 seconds here on the last image, and that's going to be kind of showing you how things are progressing. In that yellow box, the big one's going away at 8:15, but if we get another yellow box, we'll pop back in here. We have a significant advisory now, which kind of tells you, you know, heat danger's been a story, but that's significant advisory that tells you a level below severe warning. As we get past 8:15, if it's like a tornado warning, we talk all the way through it, but we know the warning's going away here unless something changes, and then that's what the statement indicates. So that's going to wrap it for now. We're going to leave the radar running. We'll see if there's any more questions, comments. I don't see anything right now. Just appreciate everybody tuning in. I got to catch my breath. It's been a long couple days here. in the Weather Center as we're monitoring things. I'll be back if it's warranted, but I'm going to leave the radar running a little longer here so everybody can kind of see what's going on. We're just going to let this run, let this loop on through here. And, we'll just make sure here, maybe, just the next little bit, hopefully not for too long, but, you have the app, Cloud app, you have cloud.com/radar for interactive look at things we're not on, some different ways to watch here the coverage, in terms of like when we're on, you can watch the app, but, when we're not on, you can still use the app here for the alerts and the interactive radar, and you have the interactive radar on the website as well. So, just so, so great. Here are some of those different methods here to keep you informed. Going to leave this running though here a little longer as well, which you can also watch in the app just to stream until I cut it off. So we're going to wrap it. Enjoy things the best you can. Thanks for tuning in. This is a clouds weather alert. Meteorologist Casey Cloud jumping back in here at the bottom of the hour. It's 8:30 with a new severe thunderstorm warning now for parts of the area at 9 p.m. Just coming in from the National Weather Service there in Jacksonville. The latest information. Let me go ahead and read that off to you. The National Weather Service in Jacksonville has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for northern Bradford, southern Baker, Union there, as well as northwestern Clay, central Columbia, and southwestern Duval. So this is till 9 p.m. At 8:22 p.m., a severe thunderstorm located near Lake Butler there, moving south at about 10 miles an hour. Talking about Lake Butler there, as well as Rayford, Worthington Springs, McClenny, Glen St. Mary there. We have Worthington Springs, the Palestine community, Groves there, Lusty, and Beasley. So for your protection, move to the interior room there on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. So a severe thunderstorm warning in play until 9 p.m. So seeing the echoes come together here on the Doppler scans, I'm going to go ahead and kind of, zoom around here a little bit as we give you the latest. You see parts of Bradford involved in our severe thunderstorm warning. So we're seeing things come together here. We had that one warning earlier on, and we have the action here. I'll show it to you from the Jacksonville radar site. You can see some wind enhancement on the north side of Lake Butler right now. Let me go ahead and get some of these roads added on here. As we look here north of Cliftonville, you can see around Northwest 33rd Street, Northwest County Road 100A. Again, a burst of wind energy maybe as we're looking in there. We have some more action as we get over toward, it looks like areas there south side of McClenny. Maybe a burst of wind energy there as well. So that's why we have this severe thunderstorm warning here in play until 9 p.m. So again, a severe thunderstorm warning in play until 9 p.m. Another 28 minutes here as we're looking toward parts of the covered area. So severe thunderstorm warning around, action around Lake Butler is where the Weather Service is mainly tracking. But again, I would say that other areas south of McClenny is worth watching here as well. But north of Lake Butler there is where we're seeing maybe some hail indications on radar even. As we're looking there, I know other services go on more about the wind, potential. They're more concerned about that. But again, things have been kind of, strengthening, weakening here. We've had periods without warnings, and we get warnings again here. Just another nasty evening toward parts of our area in terms of the overall weather setup. Just a little bit later tonight, Granted, we started having stuff in our 5:30 broadcast, right after, that 5:30 benchmark. But again, severe thunderstorm warning as we continue to watch things here. We see, our warning there now get trimmed back. And I'll go ahead, go ahead here. And we'll see that the latest is a severe thunderstorm at 8:32 is located near the Palestine community or near Lake Butler, moving south at 10 miles an hour. Just expect damage to roof side and trees there. As we're looking, Lake Butler, Rayford, Worthington Springs, McClenny, Glen St. Mary, as well as Worthington Springs, Palestine community, Groves, Lusty, and Beasley. So severe thunderstorm warning there. There's also now a tornado possible tag. Okay, so they have added a tornado possible tag now has the Weather Service. North of Lake Butler, we're seeing some rotation. Let's go ahead here. Let's take the lightning off. We're seeing some weak rotation here. I'm seeing it better on some rotation trackers. Let's check the other radar here. I'm having trouble more seeing it on this radar, but I'm seeing the rotation on my other source here. We're seeing a growing wind signature again. We have things kind of coming together here meteorologically. As we look, again, we have a tornado possible tag. Now, we haven't really been seeing any of those here, with this action here lately. Really, become prominent, but now there's maybe some spin in here. So, we have about 200 lightning strikes the last 15 minutes in here, but again, the Weather Service is, now putting a tornado possible tag out. It'd be rather weak, but if we had a tornado try to develop, it'd be Northwest 33rd Avenue or 33rd Street there in that vicinity around Northwest 1st Avenue as well. So again, we have a now tornado possible tag. So that's a level below a tornado warning here, one level below. If that intensifies that rotation here just a little bit more, we, would probably see a red box get issued. Red box appear on the screen. That'd be a tornado warning here. That'd be a level up. So hopefully it didn't come to that. But again, Just watching things here as we get north of Cliftonville, northwest 33rd Street here in toward that area, northwest 20th Street. Again, we have a severe thunderstorm warning with some weak rotation within the Doppler algorithm. So, again, I'm just looking between all of our different modes here. Just appreciate everybody tuning in, trusting me. We had those terrible storms, toward parts of area yesterday, including the terrible accident, that shut down school there in Union County for today, and then for tomorrow, the high school's still going to be shut down there as well. So, again, not a great situation there as we're looking at the overall scenario. Not a great situation as we're looking at the overall scenario. So, I know, just appreciate everybody tuning on in here. We have some weak rotation. Here. Just bouncing between all my different modes here. In the Weather Center. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We have this is north of Lake Butler, north side of Lake Butler, really. But downtown Lake Butler is right in here. You have our area of water right there as we're looking at things, as we're trying to keep you guys informed. Again, in toward Lake Butler, could get some type of water spout to emerge. It's not impossible here, as we're looking in toward Union County around Butler Lake. So, again, need to be very mindful of that here. Could see something start to emerge around the Butler Lake area there in Lake Butler, as we have a tornado possible tag with this. Again, I know after what happened yesterday, you guys are, really paying attention to the weather a little bit more. I see, looking here at my questions, comments, we have AJ Watson. Appreciate you tuning on in there, and I'll zoom out real quick to give our viewers some perspective that we don't have too much there. And I got to switch to the other radar because that radar is still down there, but you don't have too much around Tallahassee right now. There's some light to moderate rain as they get toward Gadsden County. You have some stuff. This is what we were on for a little while ago. It's not, it's not completely out of the realm that we get another warning here south of Valdosta, as we see 40-mile-an-hour winds, within this here on the echoes. But we had that one warning here toward Bradford, northern Bradford. It was a lot more isolated than this. This is a lot more, a lot more spatial coverage. It's a lot more serious in terms of, we could have folks get impacted here. North side of Lake Butler could at least get a burst of wind energy, if not something a little bit more than that. So, need to be taking precautions there. Need to be taking precautions as we're in Union County right now. Again, trying to give you guys the very latest here on the overall scenario. Again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning. It does include some of Bradford here, around Hillbron there. And then you look, we just see some of this here around Northwest County Road 125. But you don't see a lot of wind over there. You see the wind back out in here. As we look at the overall scan, you see some of this. We have our Doppler over in here at the airport. If you can see where my mouse is, and we have the winds. We have the winds there. They are going away from the radar site, and I know it's kind of hard to see, but then you have winds going toward the radar site. So, again, just trying to give you guys the very latest here with that. So, again, we're just trying to update the very best we can. We have, a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. So, not an overwhelming amount of rotation, but there is some in here as we're looking at things. So, around Butler Lake. So, just got to be very mindful here of the scenario. Just continuing to give you guys the very latest here. Trying to keep you safe and informed. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning in play here until 9 p.m. At 8:32, a severe thunderstorm was located near Palestine Community or near Lake Butler, moving south about 10 miles an hour. Lake Butler, Rayford there, Worthington Springs, McClenny, Glen St. Mary, Worthington Springs, Palestine Community, Groves, Lusty, and Beasley involved in this severe thunderstorm warning. So, again, just trying to update you guys the best we can. Trying to update the best we can here with the overall meteorological storyline. Got quite a bit of lightning in here. Let me put the lightning counter back up. That's 242. Last 15 minutes. Tilting this back around. A little less when you really get in here, but that's still a lot of lightning. That wind looks a little bit weaker now, but you just can't let her go down from the Vedasta radar. It's showing pretty strong still. Always good to get a second opinion here. That looks pretty strong. You're at Northeast State Road 121. I mean, 46 miles an hour, 45 miles an hour. As we kind of look on in here. Again, we have this severe thunderstorm warning in play. And it is in play here as we look until 9 p.m. You know, till 9 p.m. Parts of Union County around Lake Butler is where we're really watching, you know, the closest here. You know, we had the damage yesterday, as we were alluding to there. You know, the elementary school going to be open there tomorrow, but the high school is closed again. So this is looking about 5,000 feet up there as we look into toward Union County. As we look at that, and then let's go to the other mode. This is looking only about 3,000 feet up, so hopefully this is what's more realistic down toward the surface here, because that's not as, you know, strong of a signature after everything that happened yesterday. But let's look at power outage information here. You don't really see any in toward Union right now, which is good news, but we're going to continue to watch the trends here. We're going to continue to watch the trends. So let me see what else we can kind of pull on up here. We're going to go over to a current. We're going to go over to county power outage total. I don't really see too much there right now, but it's going to watch the overall trends. And that looks like a more optimistic picture from Jacksonville's radar. It's a little closer. That's what will be more likely to be down to the surface here. But just have to continue to monitor things. Still have about 3,000 joules per kilogram of surface-based CAPE, even though we're now after dark, which we don't get a lot of this after dark around here. I know you're probably seeing it even here on Stark. If you look outside, quite a bit of lightning in the distance. Just, you know, if you're hearing any rumbles of thunder, be inside. I mean, if you're far enough away and you're not hearing the rumbles of thunder, you know, you might be in a better spot to be able to see things here. But, you know, you don't have to really worry as much, maybe. You know, you can just look at the lightning, but the distant lightning. But if you're hearing those rumbles of thunder, you got to be inside. You got to be away from windows. So, again, and I'll remind you guys of that here with our lightning safety. Again, just when thunder roars go indoors, lightning can strike miles away from a apparent storm. Just got to be really careful here. Got to be really mindful. Again, just looking through all the different data points here. We look right here around, you know, areas just east of Northwest First Avenue, seeing maybe a little bit stronger wind from the Vedasta radar anyway. Again, just trying to keep you up to date here. Just trying to keep you informed. I'm going to back this over the last little bit. I mean, that latest scan, it kind of looks like it's meandering off to the southeast just a little bit. You know, right there, Northeast State Road 121. Right when we're coming to Lake Butler, you can go off toward the north if you turn right there. It's kind of headed off toward that, toward, you know, maybe Main Street. Now, the Jackson radar is a little different, so maybe, you know, that shows something a little bit different. But if you're just taking the Vedasta radar verbatim, that's kind of what's going on here with this kind of edging in. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning in play right now. Continuing to keep you guys up to date here. Just trying to be on top of things the very best we can meteorologically. Just trying to let you guys know exactly what we're dealing with. Looking at everything here that's happening. You see some of these brighter, areas here indicative of some maybe hail potential. Just got to be very cognizant here. Just trying to give you guys the very latest on things. It's a lot of light, and you're hearing those rumbles of thunder there as you're looking. I'm sure you're hearing them really close to if you're around Rayford. So this is not a fun situation, obviously, there in Ward Union County. To broaden the view, you see we have a report there out of Flagler County. A tree was down to the 140 block there along, County Road 65 earlier on. We were tracking all of that, but then we have this area in here. It's a bit thunderstorm warning under the Weather Service talking here about the overall movement. South at 10 miles an hour. South at 10 miles an hour. When we've had that severe weather risk here today, the marginal risk in play. And we do have another marginal here tomorrow as well, unfortunately. So we have to be very mindful. Again, we had it yesterday. Had some issues. We're having some of that potential today toward north central Florida. We'll have to be paying attention here as we get in toward that Thursday as well. So there's a little bit of enhancement here near Rayford as we're looking, seeing something start to come together there west of Ellerby, it looks like now. Of course, we're not too far away from Florida State Prison there with this in terms of the overall geography. So just for some perspective there, but again, trying to give you guys the very latest here on the Doppler scans. Just looking here at winds maybe 50 miles an hour in here. Just trying to keep you up to date. Seeing all that lightning there. I'm going to satellite here real quick. See, everything's bubbled up, different spots here. Just kind of watch this together. The Dakota Cloud Tops are telling that story. Latest scan, kind of see things jump around a little bit here. Hopefully that means we're seeing a weakening, but you just never know. Seems like things kind of shifted off toward the north and east a little bit here. Some of the worst, but it's hard to say for sure, but maybe some, just areas here within this becoming a little bit more well-defined while, other areas weakening off some. Again, just trying to give you guys the very latest here, obviously, to protect you, your friends, your family. I'm getting a hail indicator there north of Rayford of 1 inch in diameter. That might not actually be happening. I'm looking at my other source here, but it's a situation where, it's a situation here where just got to be very mindful because this could indicate a stronger storm in general, maybe a severe storm, maybe knocking some trees down there, causing some roof damage there as we get closer toward areas around Rayford. So again, seeing the overall situation evolve on us here a little bit. Also at you on velocity. We were kind of watching over here, and now we're kind of seeing more development off toward the north and east here. With maybe a little weak rotation. Again, we had a tornado possible tag introduced here from the Weather Service a little while ago. So again, we're watching the overall trends very carefully here in the Weather Center. Just trying to be very mindful of things. I'm reminding you guys of the covered map. I'm in Bradford County here, and of course, Union County is the focus right now, even though some of Bradford's, under this here. We're really watching Union County here very carefully with the overall scenario. So just have to be very much, mindful here of what's going on. Just looking here at all of our different trends. Just looking here at all the different trends. Let me go ahead. I know we'll read off the information from Union County High School again. They were saying Lake Butler Elementary School will resume classes tomorrow and attendance will be taken, but Union County High School will remain closed for one more day to allow for the completion of repairs. Hopefully, we don't get any more damage in that area, with what's going on right now, or things could change, I guess. Hopefully, that does not happen. That'd be not good. This doesn't happen around here too much, so that'd be some type of, just a, adverse scenario to deal with for sure, but it'd be a cruel irony, really. Hopefully nothing like that happens, but we're haven't had repairs made today, and then more storm action coming on in now as we're looking here this evening. But again, the high school's still closed tomorrow over there, but the elementary school is slated to be open. As we look here, though, out toward Lake Butler and Union County, again, around Johnstown here, we're seeing some of this. I know, getting a signature there, just eastern side of Union County, my old system I used to use on the air, looking at it as well, and, just east of Lake Butler, seeing, some pretty impressive action. Again, just trying to keep you updated. I mean, see some stuff. I see down here a little bit in northern Marion County, nothing overwhelming. This is weakening here. I know we're on the wrong radar, but still, you can tell by the lightning that's weakening there. So it's really all about what we're dealing with here toward north central Florida right now. With this, I mean, that oscillator really showing quite a bit of wind, maybe a little weaker with the peak. So it's hopefully the sign that we're going to drop the warning as we get toward that 9 o'clock benchmark here. But again, just continuing to watch the overall trends here with the Doppler. Just appreciate everybody tuning in, everybody trusting me. Just being very mindful of things. Trying to be here for you. A lot of lighting in here. Ellerby, Rayford, Johnstown there. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect. See parts of Baker and Columbia. Of course, the Union's where we've been mainly focusing. Parts of Bradford, though, also involve Clay and Duval, but the focus has been Union, rightfully so, based on what we're seeing on the Doppler algorithms. Again, just trying to give you the very latest. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Let's watch the lightning trend here. You see that lightning counter, it's been staying pretty, what I would call steady state. I would call it pretty steady state. See it kind of sinking south here, the axis in general. Rayford, the prison area there really, getting a lot of the storm action. You see some of this wind here around Main Street, maybe. Maybe some of that trying to come together. The wind signature isn't as overwhelming, maybe, but it's right on the edge here. We're so far from the radar, it's tricky sometimes, and had all the heat of the day build up here. We're still at 84 here. It's just dark, and it's completely dark out. So it's pretty late action here on the Doppler, but it's appreciate everybody tuning in, trusting me. Just trying to give you the very latest. Again, you're watching around Lake Butler there, Union County. Seeing if they're going to extend this. I mean, some of my signatures from other source kind of indicate that, but the velocity maybe says not. So it's a close call. Just a lot of lighting in here. Let's check power outages again. Not seeing them over here right now, which would be great if they weren't happening, but they probably are. It's just taking a little bit for them to come into the system. Okay, the warning's still up for now. And again, they may extend it. We'll see. There's so much lighting in here. That right there might indicate some hail. That one little area right here around Johnstown, around State Road 121, maybe some small hail in there. Let's go to the Barron button. Definitely indicating that potential. Just a ton of lighting in there. I'm sure you're looking, if you're looking from Stark there to the northwest, you're just seeing a ton of this. And this is going so slow. If you're wondering maybe around Stark if this is going to get here eventually, well, it's moving so slow. It may get here with some rainfall, but I'm not necessarily sure how, well developed it'll still be once it comes on in. Just still watching all these different trends. I'm in Stark here, watching the overall situation. Seeing some of that hail potential here over the last hour or so, give or take, especially the last half hour. So we've had the warning here in play, and we've been covering it. Pretty unusual here to have something this late with a warning, but all this heat building up. I mean, for North Central Florida anyway. This time of year, it's 9 o'clock. We're already past sunset. But here we go. Just continuing to watch things here. And the temperature storyline, 82 toward Lake City, 81 Keystone, 77 Gainesville. 88 at Jackson International Airport, the latest observation at 9 p.m. Just wild, not fun. I'm still seeing a pretty strong signature on radar east of Lake Butler on some of my modes. The warning has for now gone away. They have not sent out a cancellation/expiration statement, though, as far as I can tell, but we're just going to keep watching these trends. It's right on the edge here. I mean, A lot of times you would say at this point, maybe things are wrapping up, but they haven't issued anything. They're going to be either an advisory. Okay. They heard me, I guess. I mean, either an advisory or a warning is what I was going to say here. They decided to go with an advisory here at the Weather Service in Jacksonville. So let's go ahead here and I'm going to look here, see if it's on the other source. Okay, advisory here at 8:59. Doppler radar was tracking a strong thunderstorm over Rayford. It's in this here at 9 o'clock. It's until 9:30, moving southeast at 10 miles an hour. Strong thunderstorm impacting Bradford, and they think it may make it to Stark here as something, not too far away from severe, but we'll see. Moving southeast here at 10 miles an hour. So Doppler tracking a strong thunderstorm over Rayford, moving southeast at 10 miles an hour. Wind gust there up to 50 miles an hour. Minor flooding due to heavy rainfall. Gusty winds can knock down tree limbs and blow around unsecured objects. Minor flooding due to heavy rainfall is possible. Stark, Lake Butler, Rayford, Lusty, Beasley, New River, Camp Landing, Sanderson, Sampson, and Laurie. So I know torrential rainfall is occurring with this storm that we're talking about. So that may lead to some localized flooding. Do not drive your vehicle through flooded roadways. So again, significant advisory now. 1 level below a severe thunderstorm warning here. It's very close. I mean, they could, reissue a severe warning based on the trends, but right now, a significant weather advisory for in the Union around Rayford and the Bradford County. Again, just watching these trends. If it upticks, we could get another warning, another yellow box. You see here, south, parts of Union County. That shows a little displaced, honestly, which is good. Maybe, that might be, this doesn't though from the Valdosta, but hopefully, Valdosta's further away. So in theory, hopefully it is displaced a little. And that means it'd be harder to get some of the strongest wind down to the surface. And then that kind of justifies the advisory more than a warning. But it's a close call here. There could still be some damage in here. Even at past this 9 o'clock benchmark, even if there's not a formal warning because they're so close to the winds. Again, just still watching things. I know. Let's just kind of read off this advisory here. They're saying southeast at 10 miles an hour. So let's kind of see if we can do a track on this. There's a lot of lightning, I know that, for this time of night especially, still holding together here. Count's dropped just a very tad bit, but if it does hold together here, you see some of the areas that'll be impacted. Bradford County Fairgrounds at 9:23, Bradford High School at 9:31. You can see Stark Casino downtown area at 9:34, the Country Club at 9:38, and the elementary school here in Bradford. I mean, we have Stark Elementary as well, but Bradford Elementary there at 9:42. So again, just trying to keep you guys up to date here on the overall situation. So again, that's if it holds together here as we kind of look at the meteorological storyline. And it's still pretty formidable on radar here. We generally don't talk too long past, for an advisory like this, but it's, very close. We're right here around Stark, so right on the edge of this advisory. I mean, this is still a very formidable storm, to be completely honest. It's just, maybe it's not quite meeting severe criteria, but it could still, cause damage, definitely be impactful here on the roads. That's for sure as we're looking at things overall, so. Again, just watching the overall meteorological progression. And you saw the yellow box go away at 9 o'clock, and, instead an advisory here now. Have an advisory down here, Northern Marion. But not all advisories are the same sometimes. There could be some wind in there, but this is a lot more formidable with the special lightning here. This is really close to, just under severe limits. We have this advisory Union, Bradford on 9:30. I'm going to check our lightning count again. It is starting to tick down some. These last, scans, here as we look down to 201 now. So that's a good sign, but you're still seeing all these flats and strikes indicating strikes at least, in the last 60 seconds. They could be cloud to cloud. Some of them, though, maybe cloud to ground. So again, just watching the overall trends. Let's check outages again. Do have some in toward Alachua County. You see Thomas County 15% in the dark over there. It's quite a bit. That wind signature, let's just kind of watch it. Looks like it's kind of falling apart some. Not a lot, but some. Check it from the other radar, though. There's some, but it does seem the last scan a little less bright. It's just some very heavy rain in this area. We do need rain. We just don't want, strong and severe weather. Sometimes that's how you have to get it, but let's go 3 hour here. 2.4, 2.6, 2.3. Some of these areas, 2, 3 inches. I mean, where we're at here east of Stark, we've had 1/100th on the rain gauge here, so for today. So a big discrepancy. That's how it is. I mean, that's how summertime storms are here. We should get some of this here, but it's really hard to see how much of this all together here as we get closer towards dark. The lightning counter that ticking down is what we want to see. Got that heat advisory for tomorrow as well, but I just kind of get to the white side that turned off in terms of color later right now. I am seeing on my other source here, the overall storm strength seems to be coming down some, which is what we like to see. It makes me think we're not going to probably get another warning with this. That doesn't mean we still couldn't have some impacts here, though, as we get even, towards darker. And I think it is on the downtrend. It's moving so slow. I mean, it could end up just being a rainmaker by the time it gets into dark itself. And the angle of this is kind of, we're seemingly now seeing some of that, the Laude side of that. I mean, it's there, but we're not seeing there's much lighting on that side as we are around Lake Butler or especially Rayford. That's where, really, they're really getting it hard there. There's a lot of lighting in that area for sure. So we're going to keep watching the trends. Let's look over here. This looks a little bit more interesting, maybe. Let's see. Maybe I'm just, looking at other areas here. Well, we got a little bit of a downburst signature in northern Clay and southern Duval here. Not overwhelming, not enough probably for a warning, but the 40 just west there of Oakleaf. Sometimes you can get stuff here. Granted, angles, it may not really be too much, but some of this stuff, sometimes they can get in the way and it's harder to see stuff further away from the radar. So let's check Valdosta again. But the lightning counter is coming down, so that should be a good sign for us over here. Still could be impactful. Still could have, a lightning strike hit a home or something in this. It's not out of the question. So just got to be really careful overall. Had some weak rotation at times. Maybe some hail there around Rayford. This is not, tornado debris, but this is indicative of maybe some hail right there around State Road 121 and towards the Rayford area. Maybe small hail. We'll go to the Barron button. It says it could be to an inch. It probably wouldn't be to an inch. It'd probably more like a ½ inch there. This would be, it says an inch, but again, probably a ½ inch, at the most here. Probably even smaller than that, but it could be a little bit of like dime-sized hail or something like that in there to be most likely. As we look there, just the environment's not really too favorable for hail here this time of year. With this setup especially. Again, looking at everything, we don't have any more warnings, so you might be wondering why I'm sticking with it. I'm probably going to wrap it soon, but we'll keep the stream going a little longer. But I do have a flood advisory here until 12:15. Some of the heavy rainfall. Got to watch out for ponding water on the roadway, especially at night. Flooding is especially dangerous at night. So just remember, if you see a road, you can't tell how deep the water is. Just turn around, don't drown. It's a mantra there from the Weather Service. Just important to bear that in mind. We have the heat advisories and the like, but seeing this lightning here, not toward Baker County as well. Seeing some development back out that way there. As we get into where that zone near I-10. Just watching some of our different areas here in the Doppler. This has been my focus here toward north central Florida. That's where the bulk of the lightning is. The wind energy seems to be fading here overall. Yeah, definitely starting to see a weakening trend now as I put that into motion a little bit more. We already had a trend, but I think it's enough for me to probably wrap up my talking part of this and just leave the radar running here. So if we need to pop back in, we will. Again, be watching out for heavy rain. If we were to get another warning, it could end up being a flash flood warning or something there around Rayford if we're not careful, because that rain, really coming down here. Let's look at some of our information over the last little bit. You see around Rayford, just a lot of that heavy rain. I'm going to check our rain rates real quick. Let's go to rain rate product. It's not falling to this whole, type of rate for an hour, but if it did, at 6 inches an hour type of rate. 3-hour accumulation. Some of these areas are already getting an inch, but again, we could really, get a few inches in here, total pretty quick. So, and it's dark, so that makes it, a little more dangerous. There's some of those rural roads out there. Got to be really careful. As that's still coming down, at a pretty high rain rate there. The hail threat probably starting to slack off here as we look, but the, heavy rain with some lightning still is continuing as we look out there in toward that area. So we'll leave this running a little longer. I think I'll just leave it probably focused here. Let me just kind of tilt this around a little bit. We'll kind of just leave it focused over here right now. I think would be the best thing to do because these are, the one really is what I'm watching mostly. We'll loop this the past half hour. Let me change this. Actually, we'll do an hour. We'll do 5-minute increments, and we'll do our 2-second dwell time. So we'll loop it around like that. You had to warn him, but that's no longer in play, which is great. But we still got to be careful here. We still got to be mindful. I'll pop back in if it's warranted. But for now, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully we don't have to break back in tonight. Just stay safe out there. And we're looking at the overall situation. I mean, the lightning kind of gone a good bit of ways up, but going back down overall here some now. So that's some good news. We're going to go ahead and wrap the, coverage and me talking, but I'm going to leave the radar going. You can look at things even when the stream goes away. They're like in the Clutterr app. You have clutterr.com/radar as well. So we're going to keep you informed here if it's warranted anymore, but otherwise, enjoy things the best you can. Have a great night out there. Stay safe. Let me look at power outages just real fast here before we get out of here. See if there's anything to show you. Not yet on here, but there very well could be toward, Union County there with some. We just haven't seen reported on yet there. So Again, that's going to wrap it for now. Enjoy things the best you can. Have a great night out there and just stay safe. As we're watching this lightning, it's still dangerous in some spots. Still, if you're in that rumble of thunder, in your area, make sure you're staying inside. As that, lightning danger still is prevalent there. You're seeing some more of that development, maybe in North Baker there, closer to I-10 now. So that's something to watch. And again, that could be an issue with some flooding potential if this kind of hangs around like that here. We got some spinning going on and just some different things, we have to be kind of mindful of. So if we not like tornadic spin, but just the overall weather pattern. We did have that a little while ago, the tornado possible tag, but if we get too much of this kind of here, that could lead to like a flash flood warning and we would have to jump back in. But we're going to leave it running for now. Stay safe out there. It's been active here in the Weather Center, and we'll continue to watch things here as conditions warrant.